what happens when people mishandle you? What happens when people don't handle you as well as you've handled them? Like, what happened during those moments when you've clearly communicated your expectations, you've honored the people, you valued them, you served them, and then one day you're left holding the weight of someone else's side? Like, I'm being real. And the pain, like I said, is not always the fact that they left or the relationship ended. The pain is how they did it. Like, it's in the how. And as leaders, as entrepreneurs, as builders and visionaries, we often prepare ourselves for change because change is the only thing that's constant. We understand that seasons end, and we understand that people move on. We oftentimes give people the permission to move on when it's their season. However, I want to talk to the women who aren't struggling with the ending. I'm talking to the people who are struggling with how it ended. Hey, it's your girl Dorcas, and welcome back to the Dorcas Fitment Podcast, where I am on this journey of empowering her to drop the cape and heal for real. This is the space where courage, clarity, and strategy meets real healing. So, first of all, hello, June. How are you? Nice to meet you. Thanks for reminding us that this year's pretty much halfway over. Okay, now that we got that out the way. So this episode and probably the rest of the episodes this month, we're gonna be having a conversation about something that I have been navigating. I've been navigating it for I want to say about a year and a half. And it really hit home lately. And I just feel the need to just talk about it. I want to talk about it with y'all because I know that somebody else is either dealing with this, have dealt with it, or will deal with it in the future. But I want you to have the strategy of how to deal with it. So when I say this is a space where courage, clarity, and strategy meets real healing, the courage piece sometimes is for me because coming before you and having these conversations, and sometimes is how things are playing out in my life in that moment. That takes courage. And this is what dropping the cape is all about. No, I'm not holding it in. We're going to talk about this because it is something that we all need we all need the tools, that part. We're all supposed to be a testament to others, and if God allowed us to go through a season or experience something and then give us the tools and the strategy of how to heal through it, then we have a responsibility to share it with others. And that is what I'm doing. That's what this conversation this month is going to be about. All right. So I have to ask you a question. Have you ever been more hurt by how something ended than the fact that it ended in the first place? Like maybe it was a friendship or a business relationship or even a ministry assignment. But like you were more hurt by how it ended than the fact that it ended in the first place. It wasn't the ending that hurt you. It was actually the silence. It was the lack of communication. It was being left to fill in the blanks of why. So that leads me to my next question. What happens when people mishandle you? What happens when people don't handle you as well as you've handled them? Like, what happened during those moments when you've clearly communicated your expectations, you've honored the people, you valued them, you served them, and then one day you're left holding the weight of someone else's silence? Like, I'm being real. Like, let's be real, because the problem is we're not real enough. And this is the space where I want us to have the courage to say, "Yep, I've been there." And the pain, like I said, is not always the fact that they left or the relationship ended. The pain is how they did it. Like, it's in the how. And as leaders, as entrepreneurs, as builders and visionaries, we often prepare ourselves for change because change is the only thing that's constant. We understand that seasons end, and we understand that people move on. We oftentimes give people the permission to move on when it's their season. However, I want to talk to the women who aren't struggling with the ending. I'm talking to the people who are struggling with how it ended, because I was struggling. Like, let's be honest. It wasn't the fact that the relationship ended. It wasn't the fact that we went our separate ways. It was like, how, man, like, how you gonna just do me like that, bruh? Or sis? Because if we're honest with ourselves, we can prepare ourselves for endings all day long. We can prepare ourselves for the seasons shifting, but we don't always prepare ourselves for how it feels when people don't communicate through the ending. We don't. And that's the foundation for this conversation. That's the foundation for this conversation. Like, that really hurt me. Like, how you just going to leave without communication? Like, that's the part that hurt. If we're honest. If we're honest. And before I get into this conversation, go any further in this conversation, I just want you to hear this, because God had to remind me of this as I've been navigating this season of how things are ending. And this season has been going on for, I would say, God has literally taken me through this situation more than one time in the last couple years. But this last time, your girl was a little, okay, whew, all right, God, help me with this one. And I had to sit with it. I had to sit with that thing because it bothered me. But this is what I want you to understand. This is what I want you to hear before I go any further. The closure is not always about a conversation. It's not always the conversation. Even though communication is a form of honor, someone's inability to communicate doesn't determine our value. It doesn't determine anything about our worth. And yeah, being mishandled is painful, but it's not the same as being rejected. You may have mishandled me, but you didn't reject me. It's not the same. It's not the same. And the most important thing is healing begins when we stop waiting for people to give us what only God can provide. What only God can provide. In this last situation that I had to deal with this, when I tell you I had to sit with God on it, and I had to allow God to break it down, because I wanted to respond in my flesh, but I knew that wouldn't honor the assignment. I knew it wouldn't bring honor to anything. And it would result in me mishandling what God gave me, what God assigned to me. Healing isn't just what we feel. It is what we come into agreement with. And that brings me to Psalms 23 and 24. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there's anything offensive. See if there's any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way of everlasting. Because I was offended. I was offended. Because when we hurt, our first instinct is often to search the other person, like a heart. Like, I was searching, like, what's wrong with you? Like, why don't you have the ability to do? Why didn't you have the ability to do? And I was like trying to pick everything. But God had to show me me. And in showing me, he opened my eyes to a deeper level of healing when it comes to how things end, how relationships end. So even though I was trying to search out what was wrong with the other persons or people, I had to realize that healing begins when we invite God to search our own heart. And that is why I had to in multiple, and I say it's been more than one situation, I literally had to stop. I could not respond. No, because my response would have been it wouldn't have been a true response. It would have been a reaction. And reactions oftentimes don't honor the assignment. Don't honor God. And so sitting with it, God, search my heart. Search my heart. Because I need to know how to deal with this, because most likely it probably won't be the last time. This has happened too many times back to back, and this time kind of took the air out of me a little bit. Because one thing I know for certain, and two things for sure, and anybody attached to me would say, I would say first, I'm not gonna mishandle you. I'm not gonna mishandle you. And all I ask in return is that you don't mishandle me. But no matter how much we ask that, people are still people. And they will mishandle you. And they mishandle you by their lack of communication, their lack of honoring the access that God allowed them to have to you, and vice versa. So what does this actually look like in real life? Because I don't want you to just get this revelation of that this hurt me. And how do I heal from the fact that this hurt me? I want you to be able to apply it. That's the strategy. And so, first of all, like I said before, not every ending is a rejection. One of the biggest mistakes we make is assigning meaning to someone else's behavior. When people mishandle us, when people exit our lives poorly, so many people tell themselves or ask the question, I wasn't, why was I not important enough for you? Did you not value me? Or I must not have mattered to you. And that was a question I had, like, did you not value the relationship that we developed? Did you not value that at all? And that was a serious question. Like, you didn't value it. But sometimes people leave the way that they leave because they don't know how to leave well. They really don't know how to leave well. They don't. And that's when you begin to pray for the people who offend you. Pray for the people who mishandle you and say, God, teach them how to leave well. Teach them how to end the season well. Yeah. That's what we begin to do, and that's what I had to do. God, teach them how to end well so that the next person, the next relationship doesn't end like this. Because the next person may not be in the same space I'm in, and their reaction may not be met with, don't react, pause. Don't react, pause. So, not every ending is a reaction, but even more important, the real pain is often the lack of communication. I can handle disappointment. I can handle that. But and so many other people can handle disappointment. But what becomes difficult is when we are left without clarity. We without communication, because then the mind tries to fill in the gaps, wants to fill in the gaps. We want to lean on our own understanding and fill in the gaps. That's when assumptions begin to grow. That's when we begin to assume things, and that's when offense begins to rev up. Yeah, my mind was like, so you didn't communicate why? So you didn't do this why? So it must have been this. Oh, okay. So if it was that, then the whole attitude shifts. And that's just this is being real. Let's be real. Let's be honest. And that's when we start creating these narratives that may not even be true. And we begin to look at people's side eye, and we begin to judge them. And now you have to ask for forgiveness for the judgment. Been there, done that. I'm telling you, like navigating this thing in real time and then sharing and then having a conversation with you about it. Yeah. Creating those narratives that ain't even true. Because you're left to fill in the blanks and assume the why. But here's the thing. There's an emotional cost to those unanswered questions. There's an emotional cost to those unanswered questions, because the assumptions become emotional burdens. The assumptions become emotional burdens. And that is why communication matters in every healthy relationship. Every healthy relationship. As the one receiving the communication, as the one communicating, communication matters in every healthy relationship. If we want to avoid hurting people, we want to avoid mishandling people. And this next part is where many people oftentimes get stuck. It's the fact that they won't acknowledge that the lack of communication, the mishandling, really hurt. And that's really the first step to healing from people mishandling you, to healing from the lack of communication, the healing from how the relationship ended. You have to acknowledge, this hurts. It stung. It took me aback. I had to sit with it. It was a little painful. And so many times we tell ourselves, oh, I'm fine. Oh, it's not a big deal. I'll get over it. But I've told you time and time again, healing starts with honesty. And me being honest about the situation, like, dang, God, why am I being mishandled like that? Why? Like, this sucks, bruh. It sucks. Especially when I do my best not to mishandle people. I do my best to honor people. Because access is a privilege. And when God gives you access to a person, you're supposed to honor that relationship. And a part of honoring that relationship is communication. It's communication. And acknowledging that this sucks, bruh. And sitting with that. and asking God to help me heal it, that's where the healing really took place. Because sometimes the most healing words we can say are, that hurt. That hurt. And it's healing not because you're staying in that space of hurt, it's because you're finally being truthful about where you are. Being truthful about where you are. And see, there was a point in my life where I would hold it in. I wouldn't acknowledge it. I'm fine. I'm good. I'll get over it. That was my mantra. That was my anthem. It's not a big, like, it was me all up and through there, holding it in, continuing to carry the weight of somebody else's decision to mishandle me. But can I tell you, not I'm gonna sit with that thing, but not for long. I'm sitting with it because I'm waiting on God to give me the next steps. I'm not allowing it to keep me up at night. I'm praying through it, and I'm acknowledging that the fact this hurts. This hurt me a little bit, Jesus. Now show me how to heal from it. Show me how to heal from it. But I had to say it hurt first. I had to say it hurt first. But it doesn't just stop with acknowledging that it hurt. We have to understand and believe that God can heal what people never explain. And this is a principle. This is something that God revealed to me early in my healing journey. Because a lot of my trauma, a lot of my pain was a result of people mishandling me. And it wasn't because of lack of communication. It was because of their physical actions. But God allowing me to experience the mishandling because of lack of communication was necessary. Because as a builder, as a leader, as a visionary, as whatever God calls me to be, in whatever capacity that is, He needs me to know how to navigate the mishandling of lack of communication. So I knew that God could heal what people never explain. I don't need an explanation. I just needed God to heal it. Because there are some conversations you'll never get because people don't have the capacity to give you that conversation. Maybe it's because of shame, maybe it's because of pride. Whatever it is, some people just don't have the capacity to give you that conversation. Which means some apologies will never come. Some explanations will never arrive. And when it gets to that point of understanding, the question then becomes, will you stay stuck waiting for closure, or will you allow God to heal you without it? You see, I allow God to heal me without it because I understand that God would handle the mishandling. Just like God don't play about you, don't play about me. God, heal me, and I'm going to let you handle them. I'm going to allow you to convict them because they mishandled me. That part. When he say vengeance is his, vengeance is his. And you say, Lord, have mercy, because you see how they handled me. But I don't want to get stuck in this space of holding on to that weight. So heal me, and then you handle the rest. Heal me, and I'm going to let you handle the rest. Because I refuse to get stuck ever again waiting on someone to acknowledge that they hurt me. I refuse. And you should too. Because what I have on the inside of me is too valuable to be stuck waiting on somebody who doesn't have the capacity or choose not to end it well. Healing is not dependent on two people participating. Healing is dependent on your willingness to do it anyways. Your willingness to heal anyways. And once you acknowledge that it hurt you, you're acknowledging you're doing the most important part. Is speaking the truth so that God can heal. And you've heard many people say this. You've heard me say it 50 million times. You cannot heal what you refuse to reveal. You cannot heal what you refuse to acknowledge. Because before you forgive it, before you pray about it, before you even move past it, you must first acknowledge it. And how do you acknowledge it? You simply say, it hurt me. Those words are the beginning of freedom. They're the beginning of freedom. So it's not about the fact that it ended. It's how it ended. And because of how it ended, that hurt you. And now that you've acknowledged that it hurt you, you have given God permission to heal. So I want you to meditate on some questions. Just sit with them. Like, what ending are you still carrying because you never received closure? What ended and you refuse to let it go because you didn't get the closure? Are you grieving the loss itself or the way it was handled? Because there's a difference. Have you created a story in your mind regarding someone else's silence? What would healing look like if you actually stopped waiting for answers? And then what pain do you need to acknowledge so you can release it? And I'm giving you those questions to meditate on because my desire for you is this. I want you to choose to release the stories that you've created around someone else's silence. I want you to no longer allow the unanswered questions to define your worth. And I want you to be secure in who God says you are, even when people fail to communicate clearly and they mishandle you. That is what I want for you. because you deserve it, first of all. You deserve the healing. You deserve to move beyond it. And I want you to listen to me. Just because you didn't get that conversation you needed doesn't mean you still can't heal. Your healing is not dependent on their explanation. It is anchored in your identity in God. So this week, this month, the rest of this year, the rest of your life, I want you to give yourself permission to stop replaying what they didn't say and start acknowledging what you actually feel. And if that feeling is, that hurt me, then that's your feeling. Acknowledge that. That is the first step. Because healing starts there. Healing starts there. And you deserve to heal every aspect of your being. You deserve to be whole. You deserve to be free. Even if they mishandled you. Even if they didn't communicate with you. Even if it didn't end well. Even if they didn't honor you. You deserve healing. Because you are her. You are healed, you are empowered, and you are restored. Until next week, I'll talk to you soon. Peace.